at least for this year, that UConn will take on Depaul in a non-conference game. Of course, the UConn Huskies going into the Big East next year with the Georgetown standout, Monica McNutt on Lisa Byington. And these are a couple of programs, championship programs, and a couple of head coaches that know each other well.
Indeed, they are friendly foes. We know they've coached together on the Olympic team. They go way back at their respective universities. But tonight is an opportunity for Coach Bruno's gang to change history. They have not gotten a win over the Huskies yet while he's been at DePaul.
Yeah, well, Bruno and DePaul are 0-16 against Gino Auriemma and UConn. Your starting lineup sponsored by Jeep Grand Cherokee. Megan Walker leads the team in scoring, almost 22 points per game this year, an All-American candidate, of course. Lexi Held getting her 10th start this year, and Sonya Morris is the reigning Big East Player of the Week after the production that she had against Notre Dame. In particular, she poured in a career-high 29 points. A size advantage, as you can see in the opening tip. Olivia Nelson-Ododa standing at 6'5", by far the tallest player you'll see on the court. She's going up against Lexi Held at 5'10". They give up the tip just like that. UConn in the traveling road blue jerseys and DePaul in the white jerseys.
You mentioned that height advantage that Olivia Nelson-Ododa has, Lisa, and it's going to be imperative throughout this game. She's going to have to match up defensively as well.
We got a jump ball and a held ball. It'll be DePaul basketball. Gino Auriemma. Mentioned that he's 16-0 all-time against DePaul, and Doug Bruno, 35th season as the Huskies head coach and 11-time national champion. Out to the wing to Bekelja, who misses her first shot. Stonewall battling for it, and she can't make good at it, so a couple of possessions for each team, and coming up empty-handed to start.
The tempo of this game is also going to be a key to watch. We know that DePaul loves to get up and down the floor. They like to score a lot of points. UConn has not scored as much or had as many possessions per game.
Williams tries the finger roll finish. Kristen Williams is a 5'11" sophomore. Really good freshman year last year for UConn.
She's just a big-time gamer, and I actually would love to see this matchup evolve throughout the game. Sonya Morris and Kristen Williams, that could be fantastic.
This is a UConn Husky team coming off a Notre Dame win, but it was back on December 8th. They haven't played since. They've been off about 8 days. Just finished final exams on Saturday. The take and the two for Stonewall, and DePaul is up.
I've noticed various analysts and basketball consumers talk about kids not necessarily using their left hand on the left side. Honestly, Lisa, if it goes in,
backdoor look there for Williams.
Beautiful execution there.
Stonewall being defended by Nelson-Ododa. DePaul will like to push. DePaul leads the country in terms of points per game. In terms of scoring, they put up 90 points per game. And as UConn has talked about in the shoot-around here today, it's almost like defending 5 guards. As tall as Nelson-Ododa is offensively, defensively, she's going to have to guard the perimeter here today, and they try to give her a touchdown on the post, and DePaul takes it away.
That was perfect execution defensively. We watched DePaul in shoot-around crowd Ododa, or whoever was playing her in their shoot-around. They want to get into her space and not allow her to jump.
Kind of a cold start here for both of these teams, a 2 for 8 combined start, and UConn turns it over. That's the 3rd turnover for the Huskies. Doug Bruno thinking maybe this might be the best chance to knock off UConn.
I mean, listen, Lisa, you got to look at it. It's sort of ripe, shall they say. I mean, UConn is always formidable and a force to be reckoned with. But DePaul, coming off, well, a game ago, off of a big win against Notre Dame, the first time they've beaten the Irish in 11 years. Could this be the year where they really shake up and make some history?
Yeah, a game where they put up 105 points. And as Gino Auriemma has said, you know, Notre Dame against DePaul in that game scored 94. How do you lose a game by 11 points when you score 94?
I was actually looking at that box score, and Notre Dame actually out-rebounded, and they had almost twice as many points in the paint than DePaul, but DePaul was just lights out from behind the arc and so efficient.
I mentioned they lead the country in scoring, top 2 in terms of three-point attempts, three-point makes. It's the way that Doug Bruno and this Depaul ball style like to play. Gino Auriemma, and talking to some of the local media this week, said it's some of the most unique style of play that they will face across the country. A couple of programs that like to test themselves in the non-conference for sure. Nelson Adota gets the touch, tries to feed back door. The bucket is good for Walker.
Now, we've seen 3 different cuts land in the paint. Kristen Williams made good on the first basket. The second one went out of bounds off the hands of Crystal Dangerfield, and then Megan Walker is able to cash in. What that speaks to me is that this team is hearing Coach Auriemma when he talks about moving with urgency in the half court.
Kelly Campbell now has missed a couple. Here's UConn on the push. Walker that time from 3, and she connects.
That is one of my favorite things in the game of basketball, a transition 3. We got another one? Oh, okay.
5-point advantage here for UConn. Lead didn't last long here for Depaul. Williams with the step back, quick shot. UConn trying to chase it down. Irwin, who's become a starter this year. Kyla Irwin is a senior. Played a whole lot in her career, but adds some of that familiarity as the 3 falls. A 10-0 run in the first bucket for Dangerfield.
2 high percentage shots and 2 threes. That'll give you a quick 10.
Deja Church gets the home court bounce for the first 3 for Depaul tonight. Church, the Michigan transfer, started every game for the Wolverines last year. Nelson Adota gets the roll.
She just has such a tremendous advantage. Kelly Campbell trying to defend her there. Lexi Held came over for help. Didn't quite pan out.
Well, Depaul will attempt about 35 threes per game. They're not shy to put them up. That's a 2 there for the Big East Player of the Week, Sonya Morris.
She is tough. I mean, you watch that tape back against Notre Dame, and over the course of the year so far, she's just gritty would be the word I would give to describe Sonya Morris.
And that'll be the second there on Deja Church, who has found herself in foul trouble. She's been riddled with an injury as well. Missed 3 games because of an ankle injury. When she has played, she has found herself in early and quick foul trouble. And now we'll take a seat with a couple. From the out of bounds, Walker. Here's Held on the push. Bekelja from the baseline, she connects.
Kelly Campbell making the wise decision to hold on to the basketball just a little longer to draw the defense, giving Dee Bekelja that wide look, or that clean look from the short corner.
Williams inside the lane will pull and hit.
Ooh, Sonya Morris and Lexi Held failed to communicate on how to defend that screen, and Kristen Williams makes them pay at the free throw line.
Stonewall too strong.
I do like that look from CHANTE Stonewall. She's very capable of hitting that shot, and she forces the defense to play her honest if they give her too much room.
Makarat is the freshman. She's got the ball up top here for UConn. Started a couple games here to begin the year. Makarat taking it all the way from the free throw line for her first bucket.
Demonstrating great poise with that basket.
Here's Held for 3. Depaul has already attempted 7 3-pointers. 8 points in the paint here for UConn. Here's a triple try there for Dangerfield. She's got a couple. She's a perfect 2 for 2 to start the night.
Man, as a shooter, when you start that high, oh, baby, the rim just opens.
And Held with the runner for 2.
A great attack by Lexi Held, not giving UConn anything that they have not earned in terms of their defensive prowess. You've got to put pressure on this Huskies defense.
Depaul averages, I mentioned, 90 points per game, but UConn's up there as well, averaging about 78. 30 combined points here so far between the Huskies and the Blue Demons.
Well, we've talked a ton about Depaul's ability to shoot, but the Huskies are in town, and Crystal Dangerfield and company, they can get them up and knock them down too.
Okay, I got it on. I'm on spare. I can't hear you if you're talking to me. Oh my gosh, that's way better. You want me to keep it on spare, or do you want me to switch it out to the play-by-play input? Yeah, that's way better. Stay right here. FS1 College Hoops is sponsored by Jeep Grand Cherokee. Holiday time in Chicago, Illinois. It's also Hoops time, 19-11 in a top 16 showdown between UConn and Depaul, and a showdown between a couple of head coaches who know each other awfully well. Gino Auriemma, the one-time head coach for the Olympic team, and Doug Bruno, one of his assistants. They received their Olympic rings from 2016, just a few years back, and their relationship and friendship goes back even several decades as well. They were head coaches, or the coaching together on the Olympic team back in Rio, as I mentioned, and they also won a gold medal back in 2012. Gino Auriemma kind of joking with Doug Bruno this year that Gino's a Philly guy. Doug has already beaten one Philly guy in Joe McEwen at Northwestern, beaten Muffet McGraw at Notre Dame, another Philly native, and he said you could have the trifecta if you could beat us here tonight.
Oh man, I'm sure Doug would love that. All jokes aside, you know how you tell a joke but you're kind of serious?
4 turnovers here for UConn. Well, two coaches who kind of coach in the same style and have some of the similar philosophies. Doug Bruno has been Chicago-based through and through, grew up here in the city, played for Depaul, bounced around, coached at Loyola at one time, and has since been the Depaul head coach for the last 34 years, and we showed you Gino Auriemma for the last 35.
Both of them, I mean, their programs respectively are a testament to how committed they are to this game and growing and developing their players. But I love when Coach Auriemma said, you know, Doug kind of balances me out when we work together.
And a shot clock violation. Bruno's got to be happy with that defensive stance here by his team. 5 turnovers for UConn. Very uncharacteristic start in terms of taking care of the basketball. Depaul, 5 buckets by 5 different players here to start out of the timeout.
But the number that sort of stands out is they have been cold from the arc thus far, Lisa, with only 1 of those 7 three-point attempts going down.
Here's another. Now they're actually 1 for 9. And the one person who hit the bucket is Deja Church, who is sitting out with a couple of fouls.
This is a moment of mental toughness as we close out on this first quarter. Depaul has to maintain their commitment on the defensive end despite the offensive side being a little chilly.
Walker left all alone. It was Morris who fell to the ground. And a wide open layup there for Megan Walker.
Coach Bruno is upset.
And he got teed up. I think he felt like there was contact The reason why Sonya Morris went down on the floor, he picked up a technical arguing his point. You see down at the bottom of your screen.
That is, I understand a coach advocating for their player. I don't think that content yielded a call. And in fact, Sonya Morris has to be mindful of the officials being able to admonish teams for flopping this year.
And so that'll send Crystal Dangerfield to the free throw line. And she'll have one more coming up. Bruno's still trying to argue his point. Double-digit advantage now, plus 12 here for UConn.
Depaul has been down in games this season and has come back, so we've got a lot of basketball left to play. However, whether Sonya Morris fell or not, they cannot continue to allow the Huskies to be so efficient in the paint.
Could be about a 6-point or 7-point turnaround here, depending on what UConn's able to do with this possession.
Great communication off of that UCLA cut. And that time, the work of Kelly Campbell defending Olivia Nelson-Odata coming across the lane on that back screen. Kelly Campbell's getting in front and trying to get around Crystal Dangerfield, setting the screen. Odata coming a little bit out of control. That time, a call that was deserved.
Held off the 1 foot, can't get it. Out to Dangerfield, who's left wide open, and she is a perfect 3 for 3 from back there, and that forces a timeout from Doug Bruno.
She's hit them all from the top of the key, extended slightly. I mean, this is just beautiful ball handling and passing, finding your teammate, Anna Makarat, penetrating, drawing the attention in the paint. Kick it to my open shooter. She's cash money, baby.
Doug Bruno had to call a 30-second timeout. Chat about things, trailing by 15. UConn has scored 7 quick points in the last 35 seconds. Down low to Stonewall, out of the timeout.
A great cut and great pass by Stonewall. You know, sometimes as players, you just need to see the ball go in the basket for the sake of your psyche.
As much as Depaul favors shooting the 3, they generate a lot of their offense by working some paint points and then stretch out the floor by shooting the 3. Makarat picks up the foul. That's her first.
Makarat, this was the same penetration, opposite side, where she just set up Crystal Dangerfield. That time, the offhand, and Lexi Hell doing a good job of moving her feet. You know, Lisa, they say, to a degree, you live by the 3, you die by the 3. So it's also important. I mean, Depaul gets about 20% of their offense in transition, and they've not been able to get out and run thus far today.
Dangerfield has taken all 3 of her shots from the 3-point line. That was the first 2-point attempt. Couldn't get it to go without a shoe.
Oh, boy.
UConn still effective. Up by 13 at the end of the first quarter. many quarters where Depaul has been held to 13 points, but it's a plus 13 advantage. UConn, the number 2 ranked team in the country, against the Depaul Blue Demons. Monica McNutt and Lisa Byington with you. Depaul, going back to last Saturday, they put up 40 in the first quarter against Alabama State, and tonight just 13 points. In that game on Saturday, in the first quarter alone, they played 12 players in the first 10 minutes. A much different competition and a much different output for Doug Bruno on this Monday.
Indeed. I mean, we can X and O ourselves to death, and we love a well-drawn-up play, but essentially, at the heart of the game of basketball is you gotta hit shots. And the drought in the first quarter as far as offensive efficiency for the Blue Demons has been real.
1 for 9 shooting from 3. Again, one of the strengths here for Depaul. UConn committed 7 turnovers, and Depaul 0 points off of those. They failed to make good on some mistakes here for the Huskies.
That was another area in which they excelled in that win against the Irish.
Forced Notre Dame into 27 turnovers in that game. Nelson Adota for the easy bucket. Crystal Dangerfield was big in the first quarter. She had 11 points for UConn, nearly outscored Depaul 11 to their team's 13. Here's Held. Mid-range jumper. And Depaul with a second opportunity.
It's not as if UConn has done anything in particular as we find the ball inside to CHANTE Stonewall. She'll take a trip to the free throw line. It's more, for me, the Blue Demons missing shots as opposed to UConn forcing them into bad shots.
Stonewall will get a couple of shots at the free throw line, and there you see the three-point shooting here for Depaul. 3 of those 4 three-point makes for UConn came from Dangerfield. Didn't miss from back there. Battle of old Big East rivals. And again, as I had mentioned, this will be the last time that UConn and Depaul will face each other in a non-conference game. The big announcement in the offseason with UConn becoming a Big East member as of the academic year for next year. Of course, one of the original Big East members, one of the 7 back in 1979. Nelson Adota for another 2. They found her down low in the paint a couple of times, Monica.
That has been perfectly executed, and she's doing a great job of sealing. She obviously has the height advantage over Kelly Campbell, who is often drawing that defensive matchup.
Yeah, stands at 6'5". Depaul has talked about in their shoot-around about trying to crowd her a little bit and trying to make her uncomfortable. But so far, not getting the numbers. It's Campbell, who's undersized, got pushed and fell down in the lane. Makarat for 3.
Doug Bruno is irate on the sideline. I did think that that time was a call. Nelson Odetta got her elbow up a little bit high. The officials may have missed that one.
Campbell working it around to Bekelja. Now 1 of 10 shooting from back there for Depaul.
Depaul has to continue to be confident. Shooting threes is something that they do and do well. They can't get tight just because they're missing so far in this ball game. Watch how Kelly Campbell is really fighting to get around Olivia Nelson-Odota.
Well, she's 5'10". Makarat now goes back-to-back from behind the three-point line. 6 of 7 shooting as a team for UConn back there.
They are lights out.
Morris can't get it. And it's just 1 shot and done here for Depaul. They work it around to Williams. She misses everything. Walker is there, can't get the reverse to fall. How about a third opportunity, Nelson Adota?
Things are just compiling for the Blue Demons. What makes it even tougher is that when shots go up on the offensive end, they're not crashing the glass very much for shots at offensive rebounds.
Gino Auriemma says we have to handle the chaos that Depaul hands us. They're doing exactly that, up by 21. UConn Huskies and their resume: 46th season, 11 national titles. They've made it to the Final Four 12 straight, including last year, and just one of 9 programs with more than 1,000 wins. You can certainly call them one of the sports dynasties, not just a women's basketball dynasty, but I'm talking about all sports, professional, college, you name it. What they have done is awfully, awfully impressive across the sports landscape.
I mean, they're in that group with like the Patriots, Duke men's basketball, like the Yankees, those teams that you love to hate because they continue year in and year out to produce great players.
Morris out of the timeout.
That's a big time bucket. Here's the thing, it's gotta get picked up on the defensive end for this Blue Demon squad. I mean, UConn is 65% from the field, and that all has not been going inside to their big in Olivia Nelson-Ododa.
Well, they make you guard, and they make you guard the back door as Walker gets another 2. It's the consistency of excellence, but the consistency of excellence doesn't just happen unless you focus on play after play after play, as Dangerfield rips it away and starts the transition, doesn't have the numbers, and decides to bring it back.
Solid defense there by Kelly Campbell, keeping Makarat on the left side of the floor.
They'll make you think, they'll make you guard. Walker, and it pops out. I liked your question to Gino Auriemma, just when we talk about the consistency of every play, not only defensively, but offensively. When you were asking him about the excellence and what that looks like for UConn.
Indeed, I mean, we've heard him talk at different points this year about urgency, and he may have been on his urgency rant going back to the viral video of if you ask a kid to run a sprint and put $100 at the end of the line, does it make a difference? But to his point, I mean, there's a certain level of importance that you've got to run every play, every cut, every pass. It needs to be deliberate. It needs to be smart.
Here's Morris from the out of bounds. Hesitation move, trying to beat the UConn defense. That was awfully impressive.
She is capable of going off. Not OFF, AWF off. And she may be the one to push the button and kind of wake this Depaul team up. They've got a little bit of a hill to climb here.
Was well rested coming off of that game on Saturday against Alabama State, and she scored Depaul's last 6 points. She only played in 4 minutes in that dominant win against Alabama State on Saturday. Trying to turn over the Huskies again, and they get the ball right back.
I tell you what, another part of a component, should this Blue Demon squad mount the comeback, will be the defense that Kelly Campbell is playing on Olivia Nelson-Ododa.
One of the benefits of Kelly Campbell is she can do a little bit of everything. A triple-double waiting to happen. See her as really a guard defending the center and the 5 player here for UConn, and now Morris is starting to heat up a little bit.
She's definitely capable of giving you a triple-double on the offensive end, but I'll be curious to see just how much energy she has to exert on the offensive end, although now she is not with that matchup. 8
turnovers for UConn, and that bucket by Morris was the first time that they've converted points off of turnovers here tonight. Here's Walker with the pump fake, about a 15-footer just inside the free throw line. And Walker with double figures here so far.
She sent Koyer flying.
The second three-point make, just the second three-point make here for Depaul. And it's the first for Stonewall. The leading scorer on this Depaul team, they're a Blue Demon team that averages, there's 4 players who average about double figures.
She's got to be careful. I know CHANTE Stonewall has the length and can play passing lanes, but she's got to be smart about fouls.
Dangerfield's first miss from back there, now 3 of 4, and out and running, leaking out as Stonewall couldn't quite chase it down with the touchdown pass coming from Campbell.
Looking for an easy basket, which is very smart because this team has struggled in the half-court set so far, but that pass just a little bit too far. Great look by Kelly Campbell, just a little bit too much on the ball. I understand she needed to get it up over the potential 6'5" reach of the big running down for the Huskies.
Kiara Dahlman has checked in. She stands at 6'2", the tallest player on this Depaul roster. She's a transfer out of Iowa Western. Junior in terms of eligibility, and Depaul coughs it back up. Here's Walker. who rises, is short. Williams with the rebound, put back, she can't get it. A third opportunity, Williams will put it up. And UConn still retaining possession. 4 chances on this possession alone.
That is so deflating if you're the Blue Demons. You do all the work, and then not only do you give up offensive rebounds, but ultimately you give up a foul call. You can't reach. We talked about the urgency. Now, granted, we were talking about the Huskies, but if I'm the Blue Demons, I've got to play with a tremendous amount of urgency. Beautiful hesitation there. Sonya Morris reaching in and slapping down, I believe, gets called for the foul.
It's her second. So a couple of the lead guards here for Depaul, and it's an and one for Dangerfield. But a couple of the lead guards for Depaul now with a couple of fouls. Church has been sitting out with 2, and now Morris picking up 2. That's the first on Lexi Held. Crystal Dangerfield just picking up 500 career assists in the last game against Notre Dame. First game that she returned to play for UConn after missing a couple, dealing with some back spasms. So she missed Dayton and she missed Seton Hall.
She is far and away the player with the most experience on this roster. I asked her what it's been like leading this group, and she's like, it's required a lot of patience. And she said it as if she was somebody's auntie, just kind of worn out. And I'm like, Crystal, are you enjoying it though? She said, yeah, but essentially we're a new group. I mean, not necessarily in class, but people are in positions that they're not accustomed to.
Here's Williams with the board and the transition. Take it all the way, ripped away by Morris. And another quick hands. Sloppy play from both of these teams.
We thought that this one might go up and down, but I didn't think it would be quite this frenetic and sloppy.
From the corner, Williams stares down Campbell after that bucket.
It has been a three-point shooting clinic, though, for the Huskies. That part has not been sloppy at all.
Part of a 6-0 run. They've hit 7 threes here to start, to Depaul's 2. And remember, Depaul is a team that averages about 12 three-point makes. Second in the country in that category. Here's another freshman, Aubrey Griffin, gets it ripped away. Bekelja off to the races, and the foul committed by Williams.
Gotta chip away at this thing little by little on the offensive end, but on the defensive end, you can't keep giving up open looks like this. Kristen Williams, who we know since her freshman year is a big game hunter and hits big shots.
Bekelja to the free throw line. Had a breakout performance against Notre Dame. Career high 20 points. She was a perfect 4 for 4 from 3.
You got to get this thing to 12 by halftime, Lisa. I'd prefer 10, but if you give me 12 at halftime, it's a ball game. But you can't continue to let this lead expand. And oh, God, I hate missed free throws.
What's the mentality? What's the threshold with 12 points? Why does that make a difference to you?
Well, I think that's something that's far more manageable as opposed to what we're looking at now at 19. Or 21, excuse me.
Makarat looking to take off the bounce. And she walked with it.
So you string together some stops. Great defense. Kelly Campbell, the heart and soul. We know about the grit and grind that she brings to this unit. There's a stop. Give me 3 stops. Give me 3 stops and 2 scores. I mean, you got to look at this thing little by little because obviously you didn't get in this hole on one possession. You're not going to come out of it on one possession either. Now, the double-edged sword in this instance, though, is the three-point shooting of the Blue Demons. They launched that thing, and they have not today been in positions to get offensive rebounds.
11 turnovers here for UConn in this first half.
Fortunately for the Huskies, most of those have not been live ball turnovers, which would help Depaul get out in transition.
Church has checked back in, hesitation move. She took it all the way to the bucket.
There you go. So if we're keeping count, you got to stop, you got to bucket. You got to continue this rhythm. 3 stops. Can you give me 3 stops?
The turnaround falls for Megan Walker.
Tough to stop that, and Walker done a great job kind of revamping her body. Lost some weight in the offseason.
learning what it takes to be the go-to. Mentioned that she leads this team in scoring, 8th in the country in scoring, coming off a double-double where she put up 26 points and 13 rebounds against Notre Dame. Statistically, her best game of the year here so far. Here's Walker again, looking to beat Church off the bounce. Saw the mismatch, and she takes it all the way.
I loved hearing her say that she feels like she's gotten back to herself. I remember Megan Walker in Virginia in high school, where she was just running up and down the floor, hands down, far and away the best kid on the floor. So to see her return to some of that explosiveness and that aggressiveness and even the confidence is a wonderful sign.
The play behind the likes of Nafisa Collier, Katie Lou Samuelson, Kia Nurse. Time ticking down. Shot clock still in play. About a 6-second differential between game and shot clock. One of the lowest scoring halves here for Depaul this year. Makarat can't get it. Second opportunity. They've dominated on the boards. A 29-9 advantage for UConn in this first half. Here's Dangerfield, left all alone, will take it, fire, and hits the fourth three-point make for Crystal Dangerfield. A 7-0 run to end the half here for UConn. Coming up on the Jeep Grand Cherokee Halftime Report, Mike Hill will discuss if Depaul can secure a third straight Big East tourney title. That's coming up next. at the Bean in downtown Chicago during the holiday time. Always fun to take in some of the activities, ice skating or some of the landscape marks you see in the downtown Chicago area. Monica McNutt and Lisa Byington with you. And you look at our halftime stats here between UConn and Depaul, brought to you by Jeep Grand Cherokee. We mentioned the rebounding advantage, 29-9, one of the things that stands out after this first half.
As does points in the paint, 24-10. UConn has gotten 18 touches in the paint. That has resulted in that 24 points in the paint. I will give the Blue Demons credit for holding on to the basketball and forcing UConn into some turnovers, but unfortunately they have not been those live ball turnovers, which they get excited about and would allow the Blue Demons to get out in transition.
And the Huskies have gotten 24 points behind the three-point line, where Depaul, meanwhile, struggles to shoot from back there. How about Soldier Field? A little nighttime look. Again in Chicago. We'll go to LA after this.
2, 3, 4, 5. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Check, check. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 1, 2, 3, 4.
Halftime between UConn and Depaul. It's the number 2 team in the country that has been dominant in the first half. 55-29 is your score. A top 16 matchup here tonight. We got a top 18 matchup to come on Fox. It's Saturday. The only place to see the nation's new number 1 team. That's Kansas facing number 18 Villanova. It's on Fox. The game we usually see come tourney time. At the action will tip off at 11:30 a.m. only on Fox. And of course, the Fox Sports app.
Are you buying parity, Lisa? Are you buying parity both in the men's and women's college basketball game, or do you think talent is down?
Well, definitely parity there on the men's game. I think we're seeing it more in the women's side as well, where you see you don't want to be kind of the number 1 ranked team on the women's side. Though Stanford, back-to-back weeks, has maintained that possession. A good win against Ohio State yesterday at home.
Ohio State is a good team. I'm excited to see what Coach McGuff does with them the rest of the way. And then, of course, UConn at number 2. It's so funny when I think back to Media Day with the Huskies, and there's all this conversation about them not having All-Americans and this, that, and the other, and they lost so much experience. And here we are, the Huskies continuing to do what they do.
Out of the halftime intermission, that might be a good sign here for Depaul, their 3rd three-point make. And Held knocks it down. Well, to your point, though, Gino Auriemma telling the local media just a couple days ago, as a matter of fact, that he doesn't feel like they're the number 2 ranked team in the country, that they've reached that height because they're 8-0. They're one of the few teams right now that hasn't dropped a game yet in this very young college basketball season. They work it around to Walker in the corner.
It is indeed a long season, and I understand coaches look at the big picture. But, I mean, he's got to be proud of the way his group has played so far.
Stonewall. So now back-to-back buckets here for Depaul, who could have gotten maybe an earful or two from Doug Bruno in the halftime locker room tonight.
He is certainly a passionate coach. We saw him animated and engaged in shoot-around earlier. But again, I mean, there's only so many X's and O's and scouting reports your coaches can give you. It comes down to making shots.
Doug Bruno, when we talk about the entrance of UConn into the Big East next year, and as Irwin picks up the foul, you know, he says of all the teams, of all the programs in the Big East who should not want UConn in the Big East, it should be us, because we've really thrived without them being in it. They won 9 league championships when you combine the regular season championships with the tournament titles. But ultimately, he says, I'm in the front of the line in terms of welcoming them back. It's going to be way better for us, for the Big East as a whole, maybe for women's college basketball.
I agree. I mean, it would certainly up the conference's RPI. We know that he and Gino go way back into the history as friends and as foes. I don't know, Lisa. I get coaches aren't going to say certain things on air, but I personally might be like, I got to think about that.
DePaul, Stonewall again for 3. And this looks like a different DePaul basketball team at the start of the second half. It's part of an 8-0 run.
So 3 possessions that they've been able to cash in. 2 stops so far on the defensive end.
And UConn with the answer.
It stops at 2, and rightfully so. That is your biggest mismatch. You should take advantage of it.
Held will pull up a mid-range jumper. Can't hit. DePaul is 2 for 3 from 3 to start this second half. The pick. Morris just has Dangerfield to beat.
Man, that is maddening, I'm sure, for Morris. She is such a tough competitor. Did a great job of jumping out in that passing lane and just unable to finish. I thought the jump stop was fantastic. She had the advantage over Crystal Dangerfield, but just overshot it, which a little bit of pressure, a little bit of angst, as well as shots going long, maybe pressing a little bit. DePaul really has to settle in and trust themselves.
Morrison held and Stovall, part of that sophomore class. Got a lot of playing time last year as freshmen for DePaul. Here's Campbell leading the break. Step through move, nicely done by Stonewall.
Fantastic footwork by CHANTE Stonewall, avoiding the charge and getting a much-needed basket for the Blue Demons.
Who could forget the game that CHANTE Stonewall had in the Big East Championship game, a career-high 28 points. Of course, hit the game winner against Marquette with about 5 seconds left. The Big East most outstanding player on this very floor, Nelson Adota, with the answer in the and one.
It's not much you can do with size. Adota Nelson Adota absorbing the contact. Crystal Dangerfield pressing the issue, love the step back, bounces long. Deepa Kelja there with the inside position, but she made the mistake of jumping as opposed to boxing, and the height of Nelson Adota wins.
UConn a perfect 4 for 4 now from the free throw line. Defensively, let me see the free throw situation. Defensively, though, in the first half, took DePaul out of what it wanted to do, and Morris hits again the mid-range jumper.
A beautiful cut, gathers, and is able to finish and comes up with a big-time play on the defensive end.
Offensive foul call there on Williams. That's her second.
She beats Kristen Williams to the spot, absorbs the contact to the midsection. That's a charge.
This half, DePaul has had 4 assists on 5 buckets. In the first half, they only had 4 assists total. And again, a team that averages about 23, that's tops in the country. Stonewall will turn and face, she's short.
Of course, Kelly Campbell is involved in an offensive rebound.
Just a really good rebounding guard, especially for her size. Stands at 5'10", DePaul throws it away.
Value the basketball.
Dangerfield will reset.
Campbell, who we just saw diving on the other end, draws the matchup with the much larger Nelson Adota.
Here's Dangerfield off the bounce. And the rebound for Walker, just short. Dangerfield started 3 for 3 from 3. Now 4 of 7 from back there. The take, count it for Bekelja. Dee Bekelja averaging career-high numbers this year. Has gotten the first starts of her career this season. 7 of them total.
I wonder if we will see Coach Bruno call for some of that three-quarter court pressure that his Blue Demon squad plays so well in order to help out the matchup in the paint.
They'll do it sometimes off of misses, but certainly it's better to do off of makes, which have been few and far between here for Depaul, especially in the first half. It's the second personal on Campbell. Doug Bruno has talked about that senior class that you featured, and Stonewall, who picks up her foul there. Stonewall and Campbell, and 2 seniors who understand the importance of playing a tough non-conference, not only playing a tough non-conference schedule in November and December, but winning some of those games to start positioning yourself for a better seeding when you come to March. And another foul. So 3 straight fouls here for Depaul. That one again coming to Morris. And 3 personal fouls. Sonya Morris, a Big East Player of the Week. You see her numbers in some of those non-conference games. It's not easy to go to Green Bay and pick up a W. And certainly it's not easy to go to Notre Dame, even if they have a lot of new faces and a lot of inexperience on the team this year.
A very, very capable scorer. But you mentioned peaking at the right time, and Coach Bruno is like, there's no March if there's no November in terms of a team sort of coming into their own and stepping into their identities so that you can move through the rigmarole of conference play and come out on the other side with confidence headed into the postseason.
A UConn team that's trying to find itself in its rhythm, its chemistry. And slowly but surely, and after an 8-day break after beating Notre Dame. Fell behind 2-0 early in this one and then responded with a 10-0 run and have held a comfortable lead against Depaul ever since. Makarat. Too hard on the baseline take. Thought about the 3-point. Williams pump fake will go inside for 2.
She has such a beautiful pull-up, whether it be 2 dribbles or 1. She just elevates off that last dribble so well.
And the take there for Bekelja. Kristen Williams really opened up some eyes last year against some of the tougher competition, especially early. Maybe the breakout game of her freshman year was early in taking on Notre Dame. Didn't back down on a national stage against one of the top teams in the country.
That was certainly when women's basketball fans took note of the new kid on the block for the Huskies. But she talked to me a little bit about this offseason with the 3-on-3 Team USA and how it required her to be in tremendous shape.
Place where she won a gold medal with that team. Here's Church, gets swatted by Nelson Hadoda. Not tonight, and it leads to the break. Dangerfield trying to find Walker.
You mentioned that gold medal. I tell you, when you've got size and you've got timing, things like this can happen with the right hand. Olivia Nelson-Odetta with a big-time block for the Huskies. I want you to do that.
FS1 College Hoops is sponsored by Jeep Grand Cherokee. A look at the downtown Christmas tree in downtown Chicago, Illinois. Is actually making that exact same walk over the weekend.
Were you?
Yes, I was taking in some of those sites, like some of those tourists were tonight. 63-45, UConn over Depaul on this Monday night. Monica McNutt, Lisa Byington with you. American Athletic Conference against the Big East here tonight. Seemed to be, again, Big East against Big East. UConn has not dropped a game in the American Conference in the regular season, 106-0. And you add in tournament games, they're 121-0.
They have certainly left a mark on the American.
Double team coming for Nelson Adota. She gets it away. Into the corner there for Walker. There's been mismatches and everyone who's trying to defend her tonight.
She's just got her quickness back. She's got her quickness, her quick twitch, as you'll hear strength and conditioning coaches call it. She gets off the ground pretty quickly.
Lots of expectations. Well, the only player who's really left in her recruiting class, they did see some attrition in that class with players transferring to other schools. Megan Walker, as we've talked about, has learned under some of the All-Americans that have since graduated here for UConn. Now has become a consistent go-to scorer this year.
I asked her sort of what sparked the weight loss. Was it an instruction from a coach? She said, no, I just kind of wanted to get back to me. She didn't do anything funny. I was hoping, honestly, Lisa, she would tell me she did Whole30, because I personally love Whole30. She said no. She just kind of went home, cleaned up her diet. I asked her what's something that she added. She said oatmeal. She's added oatmeal to her diet.
Depaul for three. If only that was that simple for all of us, right? Adding oatmeal to our diet, that would make the difference.
If I add too much oatmeal, it's going to stick. We don't need that.
Depaul's got 10 here in the game. Walker again. A little shrug and shoulder push off that time. She's got 20.
Great body control, understanding how to use her strength.
Stonewall for three. She's come alive from back there in the second half.
I just need to see the Blue Demons cut this deficit to 12. Get it to 12. Let's work from there.
And Stonewall has a couple of three-point makes here in the third quarter. Now she's in the transition, gets it off to Morris for the transition bucket. This is as close as Depaul has been in a while.
Got some fans here courtside trying to get the crowd here at Wintrust into it. Transition basketball, that's a signature with these Blue Demons. You see Morris and Stonewall talking it through. Hey, we need more of this out in transition. Deja Church ahead to your senior, over to your outstanding sophomore. Beautiful, yep, swing, top of the key, no dribbles, no dribbles, don't worry about a good cut, slice. Where are we going? Back to Odota, and she's gonna pass again, right? Nope, one dribble. Look at it. 2, 3. 3 dribbles, love it, love it.
$67-53, UConn over Depaul. Let's take a look at the playbook sponsored by Lexus. Monica McNutt, what do you got?
All right, this one is on the page called Beautiful Ball Movement. Let's count them. That's 2 passes in. Patience and poise from the Huskies, that's 4. You got a nice, beautiful dive right through the paint, 5, 6. Count the dribbles as well. That's our first dribble in our 7th pass, 8, 9. We're gonna get 2 dribbles toward the basket, north and south movement. That's how you score. Megan Walker finishes 9 passes, 3 dribbles, a basket. I like it. What do you say, Lise?
That's UConn basketball, and that's what I say. The score by quarters, though, it's been Blue Demon basketball in the 3rd quarter. They've outscored UConn by 12 in the 3rd. The lowest scoring quarter here so far, though we still have about 1:05 left in this quarter. And the Blue Demons started out only scoring 13 points in the 1st quarter. How quickly things can change. And Depaul certainly is a team that can make some runs. They were trailing at Green Bay by double figures. Also trailing by double figures at Notre Dame as well, and they ended up winning both of those games. Now not trailing by 26, which is the largest lead that UConn has been up here tonight.
Leads are made to be cut into, right? Like records are made to be broken. But should Depaul, there's a reason that they're knocking down 12 threes a game, and they're one of the top 3-point shooting teams in the country. Should they get hot from behind the arc? It's a lot like the Golden State Warriors, which we all loved when they were at their peak. 3-point shooting can change the game.
Good offensive possession, though, for UConn. They're out of the timeout. Very patient, something that you were showing with that playbook draw up. UConn's offense, if you go to a Connecticut shoot-around, you'll see them considerable time going 5-on-0 in terms of trying to make their offense and their offensive sets, their flow, their feel for each other second nature. 4th double-double this year now for Megan Walker. She's got a 20-10 game here tonight.
Great communication by Sonya Morris, switching hard.
Williams can't finish it, gets her own miss. And it'll be Depaul basketball.
All right, Lisa, my number was still 12. We're at 16. We were at 14.
Yeah, but you wanted 12 by halftime.
Well, okay, we got to work with what we got now. Can we get to 12? 2 minutes into the 4th.
Dangerfield picks up the foul.
CHANTE Stonewall, ball bounces off her foot. Morris gets tripped up. Dangerfield hustling for the basketball.
Under 6 seconds here in the quarter. Molly Bent, one of the other seniors, will check in. Got her first career start a couple of games ago. Lets it fly and beats the buzzer from hell. Not 12, but it's plus 13, headed into the fourth.
You're close. You're far closer than you have been. Off the inbounds play, it drives defensive coaches crazy, but Lexi Hill knows her squad needs it. Cash the corner three. Depaul still in this thing.
Crystal Dangerfield has had herself a game here.
Remember when we highlighted her at the beginning of the game? That was so smart by that analyst. Dangerfield has led by example. She's been extremely efficient. She's played within herself. I love the way she's been able to shoot the ball from behind the arc today. 4 of 7 from 3, and then 6 of 11 on the game, as you get to see. She's really paced this group. I mean, it's been an offensive clinic in many ways when you look at the amount of assists this team has total. 18 assists on 28 made field goals.
Who was that analyst?
I don't know her. All right, 13 though, Lisa. It's 13. We talked about it again at the top of the show. This opportunity for Depaul.
Inside to Walker. The first possession, and they go Walker's way. Walker with 20, Dangerfield one off of, as we showed you. For a couple of players having 20-point games for UConn. Counted the bucket for Bekelja.
Fired up. There is life and blood running through this Blue Demon squad. Bekelja with the floater, absorbing the contact right on the nose. That's the kind of hit that'll put you in a Rip Hamilton mask, so you got to be careful. But she manages to come away unscathed. It is.
He played well with that mask on.
Oh, I hated that mask, Lisa. Oh, me? Him. He.
You hated the mask?
I had to wear a mask. Rip Hamilton played fantastic in the mask. I had to wear one at my time at Georgetown. I hated it. It was miserable.
Lena Deladon played pretty well with her mask
She
this
did
year,
as well.
winning a championship, by the way. 11-point advantage here now for UConn. Let's see what kind of answer the Huskies have to this Depaul charge.
It's going to be interesting to watch inside. Olivia Nelson-Ododa, she's got to watch those elbows.
Well, she's got a mouse in the house with a Sonya Morris on her defensively. Another second opportunity. And they've dominated the boards here tonight.
I get it. You're right. She has the height advantage. She would say that I'm just trying to get post position. I can't help that my elbows are higher. But she's really going to have to be careful.
So far, they haven't looked her way. The kick out instead to Dangerfield for 3, and it rims out. Dangerfield now 4 of 8 from back there. 6 threes is her career high. She hit it against Stanford back in 2017. Here's Morris. Off the mark, Bekelja chasing it down. Another opportunity here for the Blue Demons.
Credit the Huskies defense here. Not giving the Blue Demons an easy look.
Down to Stonewall for 2. And the lead is down to single digits for the first time since the first quarter.
Fantastic ball movement. Your two seniors connecting. Credit the Blue Demons for that patience on that offensive end, and then CHANTE Stonewall for thinking and cutting.
It all started with the start in the third quarter where Depaul outscored UConn by 13. The Blue Demons on the push. Stonewall, the ball was kicked. They play on. Campbell for 3. She connects. Depaul making a run.
This is Depaul ball. We've seen them be astute defensively. They're cutting and they're moving. They're getting out in transition, beating the Huskies down the floor. Meanwhile, Coach Oriema is livid on the sideline.
Depaul has outscored UConn by 20 in this half as Stonewall picks up the foul.
Unnecessary swiping by your senior. It was a bit of a wild shot for Dangerfield. She wasn't exactly in a great spot to hit that. It was going to be a wild off the rim, probably off the backboard. Because Stonewall swipes down, she draws that contact and sends Dangerfield to the free throw line.
Some of the scores have been tighter this year for UConn. Tighter than what we're used to seeing. Double-digit blowout wins. UConn has been tested, and they certainly will be tested, continuing to be tested in the non-conference with some games coming up, not only tonight. Into the corner for help for 3.
Three-point shooting is a game changer, and I promise you folks, transition threes are even better.
The lead is now 4. It was once 26. Push off there for Williams, and she gets the bucket.
We talked about Williams already showing us what she's capable of doing in big moments on big stages.
Depaul is 7 of 9 from 3 this half. Rims out. Remember, they were a team that was 2 of 13 in the first half. Nelson Adota up against Campbell for 2. She could get that all day.
A very, very smart decision. The assist comes from the top of the key, and Kristen Williams and Adota. What are you going to do with that? She has the advantage. Depaul has to crowd her, but then that means they're probably leaving a shooter open.
Doug Bruno has said we got to try to make the other players outside of Nelson Adota with that height difference try to beat us here tonight. Here's Morris. Red hot shooting from the Blue Demons in the second half.
I tell you what, these Depaul Demons are fighting.
The reverse and the response there from Megan Walker.
Megan Walker is unbothered. Sonya Morris wants to post up Crystal Dangerfield.
Here's Williams. Ripping down the rebound, and she'll start the break. And a 30-second timeout called by UConn.
Wow. The run by the Blue Demons has been fantastic. Depaul ball is signature because of the defense and because they get out and they knock down these long threes. Here's the energy that you need from your sophomore in Morris.
what once was a 26-point advantage has been whittled down to single digits. Depaul has gotten as close as 4 points here in the fourth quarter. A big difference is the three-point shooting difference for Depaul. 2 of 13 in the first half and now 8 of 12 in the second.
You live by the three, you die by the three. I mean, that works on both ends. Offensively, marked struggles in the first half for the Blue Demons. Particularly late in the third, headed into the fourth quarter, we see they're getting those shots to fall, and it has made a tremendous difference.
And Depaul has outscored UConn because of the three-point shooting in the second half. It's the kind of craziness that Gino Auriemma had talked to the local media this past week, has talked to his players about. You got to handle the craziness. You got to handle the up-tempo that Depaul tries to get you in.
I got to say, as Depaul went on that run and got hot from behind the arc, his team did seem composed and handled the craziness. For every big shot it seemed that we got from Depaul, his squad came down and made a very smart decision on the offensive end. Whether it would be Megan Walker attacking baseline, whether it was Kristen Williams passing the ball inside to Olivia Nelson-Ododa, they were poised and they have responded. Remember, this thing was as close as 4, and it is already back up to 7.
They're exchanging threes for twos. UConn hasn't hit a three-point shot this half. 0 for 6 here in this half. And three-pointers, a little something like this starting in the third quarter. That was the first one Lexi Held hit out of the halftime locker room.
Teeing it up, and then CHANTE Stonewall using the extra bounce. Sonya Morris, you didn't cover up behind this screen. I'm gonna go ahead and launch this one. It's credit to Depaul, because they could have gotten away from what they do, which is three-point shooting, because of the struggles in the first half, but they continued to stay with it.
The highest scoring team in the country. You had to know, and I'm sure Gino Auriemma knew, that a run would be coming. They held Depaul to 13 points in the first quarter. They're a team that averages 90 points per game. Finding Nelson-Ododa inside. They like that mismatch.
There were 3 white jerseys around her, and no matter.
Stonewall going off the bounce and gets it blocked.
Megan Walker, that diet change.
And the offensive foul call as Morris drew it.
That is the second, this is not an official stat, but I believe that's the second charge that Sonya Morris has been able to draw. I like what CHANTE Stonewall is thinking here. Attack Ododa, make her defend, but it's the help side. Megan Walker coming over.
Oh, Bekelja nearly threw it away.
In shoot-around this morning, Doug Bruno talked about the offense, and Depaul ball has a very signature style. He said, you know, this is not freelance. He was telling his girls, this is not freelance. There is a structure. On the flip side, as we watched UConn prepare, we heard their coaches talk about preparing to defend concepts rather than specific actions.
Nelson-Ododa is picking up her second personal as she defends Stonewall. And around the screen, popping out there for Bekelja. Depaul still will keep it. Shot clock will reset to 20 seconds.
An unfriendly home roll for Bekelja, but you notice the white jerseys in the paint attempting to get offensive rebounds.
Out-rebounding UConn in this half, 16-15. After being dominated in that category in the first half. Here's Stonewall with her back to the basket. Stonewall again, that time with a smaller Williams on her. Can't get the turnaround. And the foul committed there by Campbell. That's her third.
Gotta maintain the defensive intensity, communicate, and do your best to crowd the big if you're the Blue Demons as this clock continues to tick down.
Last couple of possessions, they've gone to Nelson-Ododa. Not that time. Stonewall rips it away from Williams. Here's Morris with the quick trigger and connects. she's trying to will this team back into this one.
You gotta love the grit and toughness that Sonya Morris is bringing to her squad. She's chewing her gum, and I know my Medea fans at home will remember the line, "You smacking that gum, child." But if that means she's in rhythm, then let her chew on.
A tie up there on the ground, and it'll be possession towards Depaul's way.
Little tie-ups, getting a little chippy in there. Rightfully so. Competitive athletes. I'm not gonna lie, I love a 3 in transition, but I thought that Sonya Morris may have been pulling this trigger a little bit quicker, but she certainly silenced me. The look ahead from Lexi Held, the one dribble, she gets her feet squared and knocks it down. Ooh, she's fired up. That's the kind of hype person you need on your shoulder when you're having a bad day. Come on, we can get through this.
Depaul's last 12 points, all 3-point makes. In Doug Bruno's mind, a good shot is one you can make. Certainly Sonya Morris has proven time and time again that she can make that shot. 3.5 to play. Back door to Morris, out to Bekelja, who's left wide open from the wing. Makarat with the rebound.
That pass back after attacking the paint was one of those concepts that the Huskies went over in shoot-around.
UConn has hit its last 4 shots. Then they've given some touches to the tallest player on the court, Nelson Adota. She hasn't missed from the floor. Perfect 8 for 8 for 17 points. Doesn't touch again on this possession. Instead, it's Dangerfield with the 15-footer.
A beautiful catch and shoot, slicing through the paint off of that cut.
Dangerfield with 22, Walker with 22, Nelson Adota with the 17. Makarat tries to take it away. And Williams gets it, a crucial turnover for UConn. And the lead is back up to double digits. That forces a Doug Bruno timeout.
30-second timeout called by Depaul.
That was a tough sequence for the Blue Demons, but on the other end, Anna Makarat hustling, bodies are falling on the ground. Kristen Williams, I'll take that, and I'll finish. 10-point lead for the Huskies.
Depaul certainly making this game interesting in the second half, but the #2 ranked team in the country having an answer. They got it as close to as 4 points. You see the timeouts left. UConn still has a couple. Depaul has 1 left in the final 2 minutes and 39 seconds. Both teams not in the bonus as of yet.
I would expect Coach Bruno to show some pressure here. The clock is now becoming your enemy. I'd give it a whirl, 1 or 2, see if it works, and allow the Huskies to force you out of it. But if he can disrupt the ball handling up front by Dangerfield, looks like Walker is setting up with that full court pressure.
A 10-point advantage, 2.5 left to play. They find Stonewall out of the timeout. The leading scorer here for Depaul takes it. Nelson Adota denies it.
Well, 6'5", the wingspan, the timing, there's not much to do with that.
Has a killer mentality. Now 4 blocks on the night. That's right at her average. Top 4 in the country in terms of total blocks and blocks per game.
Here's that full court pressure.
And she walked with it. Couldn't move there on the baseline. Makarat forgot about it. UConn now with a season-high 20 turnovers. And they only average 13 per game. Held with the step-back 3, can't hit.
That was a tough shot by Held, and Makarat did a good job of getting a high hand out to contest.
UConn, who showed them sharing the basketball, they'll eat up some time moving it around the perimeter. Approaching about the 2-minute mark. Makarat will take it. Depaul, one of its last 10 buckets after getting red hot in the third quarter and the start of the fourth. Now one for its last 11.
I understand the pass there by Sonya Morris, but I wonder if she should have gone after that high percentage shot in the paint. Blue Demons coming with those traps, trying to disrupt. It's going to require that those folks not involved, the other three not involved in the traps, are flying around, because you can bet that the ball is going inside to the big.
UConn in no rush. 10-point advantage, largest lead has been 26. Makarat splits the difference, kicks it back out that time. Dangerfield with 2 on the shot clock. Here's Williams, has to put it up, and she does. And another opportunity for UConn. That is a killer.
Absolute dagger. You work so hard, you get a violation.
Stonewall into the passing lane. A dive on the court. Depaul has it, but running out of time. And a hard foul. Campbell will go to the free throw line.
Crystal Dangerfield also has not gotten up. Kelly Campbell attacking. Anna Makarat committing the foul.
Remember, Dangerfield has been dealing with some back spasms earlier this year. She missed a couple games because of it. She seems to be favoring her left leg coming out of that collision.
She's diving for the loose ball, as are CHANTE Stonewall.
Yeah. Stonewall came down on that left leg.
Man. Well, we certainly hope that that is nothing serious. She did get up and walk off under her own power.
And an official review here on coming up on that last foul. Campbell got hit hard with Makarat challenging. And the ruling is just a common foul.
Probably looking at the little bit of extra action, but you're right. We go with a common foul. Don't think any malice was intended on that one at all.
Campbell makes good on the first. Leads back to single digits. Here comes the press here for Depaul. They get it to Dangerfield. Depaul's got to stop the clock. They have a foul to give with 3 team fouls here in this quarter as the time ticks away.
Great handle.
8-point advantage, and UConn gets the bunny from Nelson Adota. Perfect 9 for 9. She hasn't missed here tonight. Held, rims out. Campbell battling for it. And a jump ball. It'll be UConn basketball.
Man, this, first of all, Crystal Dangerfield beat the press. She beat 4 on her own. Once we get across half court, the poise, the passing, which we've already highlighted. 1, 2, 3. The ball doesn't even touch the ground after it leaves Crystal Dangerfield's hands.
And Depaul uses its final timeout. Mentioned the non-conference schedule that UConn will play, and immediately our eyes go down to a ranked opponent in Baylor. They also have Tennessee and Oregon coming up in the non-conference and in the next couple of months. It's the one thing that is impressive with UConn is that they win championships by challenging themselves. They literally have the philosophy, play anyone, anywhere, anytime.
Well, you mentioned that they have not suffered a conference loss in the American. So it makes sense that they would go and really test themselves to be well prepared come March in conference tournament time. But, you know, we talked about it coming into this half, Lisa. Anything can happen in those games. I mean, all of the women's #1 so far outside of Stanford have lost. There are a few remaining undefeated. UConn hoping to stay one of those. It's going to be a fun year, I believe.
Already has been a fun year.
And I was just about to say that, yep.
Stanford at #1. Of course, the Oregon schools ranked at 3 and 4 with the rankings coming out this week. South Carolina right behind them. Louisville, of course, edging out Kentucky. In Lexington, that one was exciting.
Very good ball game.
And Depaul still refusing here to foul. Not stopping the clock. They've got 3 team fouls and a foul to give. They'll let it play out. Trying to bank on getting the steal, and crucial time ticking off the clock there when they're trailing by 10.
They ultimately end up giving the foul, albeit inadvertent possibly. And we talked about some of those undefeated. You see UCLA undefeated still, NC State, Florida State. I'm excited for those two to get after it in the ACC. Then you've got the Oregon State Beaver squad, a squad that has a win over Depaul.
And Depaul let it play out. UConn coming to Chicago for the last time as a non-conference opponent against Depaul. The best team so far in the Big East, and they'll improve to 9-0 on the season. 84-74, though Depaul made it interesting in the second half.
It seems so far the Huskies have quelled some of the concerns about their roster. This is their first game against a ranked opponent, and they seem to answer the questions.
We hope you enjoyed this top 16 showdown here on this Monday night. For Monica McNutt, I'm Lisa Byington. Once again, the final score, 84-74, as UConn remains unbeaten. We say good night from Chicago.